Leslie Sanchez is a CBSN political contributor. Hey, Leslie, Happy New Year. I haven't seen you.
Vlad. I know. Happy New Year.
All right, let's start with Congressman Tom Price. He would obviously play a major role with Republican efforts to repeal Obamacare. During the hearing, Price said the goal is not for people to lose coverage. So the question that most Americans will have is, how does he work to make that happen?
You know, the interesting aspect, if you watch that testimony, for the most part, a lot of it was reassuring and very measured about looking for bipartisan solutions to fix some of the biggest failures, aspects that are failing under the ACA, particularly the skyrocketing premiums and deductibles. He spent a significant amount of time talking about the reality that premiums and more so deductibles are so high for families that essentially they're unable or choosing not to use the coverage that they have. And that's a critical situation, which I think Republicans and Democrats agree on. The contentious points, Vlad, were certainly with, as we just heard right there with Senator Warren and Al Franken, when they were talking about these issues of the stock purchase that he had, and more so, would they allow things like pre-existing conditions and some of the main tenets of ACA to remain? And on that part, I think with respect to the stock purchase, the congressman was very transparent that he did everything according to House ethic rules and regulations. And on the other aspect, that certainly protecting pre-existing conditions, he talked about pediatric cancer. Some of those areas Republicans and Democrats agree need to remain.
So, Leslie, one of the questions that Elizabeth Warren had for Congressman Price is when it comes to cutting actual dollars, for example, to Medicaid. And she was going off what President-elect Donald Trump said about that. But Congressman Price wouldn't say that he wouldn't cut funds. He was just essentially saying that care doesn't necessarily always correlate to price, but that's what she said she was asking about, specifically the amount of money going to that. So how are they going to sort of thread that needle?
Sure, and that's a very pointed political maneuver. She is trying to tether him to testimony so that he said he would not raise it by $1. But the truth is, if you want to get to the heart of this issue, they're going to have to open all this up and renegotiate everything from prices and other imperatives. And can you say $1 won't go up or down? That's just almost ridiculous. It's a fantasy to think that the money won't move a little. But are we talking about, is $1 too much? Is it $100? We don't really know. And I think that's where the congressman did not want to get tied, particularly to saying something that you just don't know would be true.
So I want to play a soundbite for our viewers because we were talking about, this was happening moments ago, that he was being questioned by Elizabeth Warren, but we have a soundbite from Senator Bernie Sanders asking about this. Let's play that.
Congressman Price, a very simple question. Is the president-elect, Mr. Trump, going to keep his word to the American people and not cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, or did he lie to the American people?
I haven't had extensive discussions with him about the comments that he made, but I have no reason to believe that he's changed his position.
All right, so you are telling us that to the best of your knowledge, Mr. Trump will not cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
As I say, I have no reason to believe that position has changed.
So your reaction, Leslie, I mean, I get your point about trying to tether him to the comments that the president-elect made, but we've seen several times throughout these confirmation hearings that the nominees are asked questions with regards to what the president-elect has said, and they disagree with him on some of those positions. Are we going to see an alignment here between Price and the president-elect?
You know, it's interesting, Vlad, if you look at this, it's almost pick your battles. I think this was a situation where the congressman was definitely lockstep with President-elect Trump on that issue. And the bigger issue that he's talking about there, Senator Sanders is talking about Republicans who have continuously pushed for entitlement reform. It's for the last 2 decades longer that it is a major need. It's the third rail of American politics to do something about these skyrocketing prices and our ability to pay, especially for our seniors, when you talk about Social Security. So it's something that is going to eventually be on an agenda, but I think it was a very astute point to say it's not anything on there right now. ACA is front and center in terms of where it looks like this administration's going.
All right, let's talk about Governor Nikki Haley. She's up for UN ambassador. She was questioned on her lack of foreign policy experience. She also said that the United States should not trust Russia. Do you think that those answers will satisfy the Senate?
It's hard to say. Hopefully so. I think that the spirit of that is that there is a very tenuous relationship, a complicated relationship, and that needs a very firm hand. And that is really the role, or to use your point, the threading of the needle that she's trying to do. She was extremely effective, articulate, and really explaining that position. If anything, that was the key point of her testimony.
And finally, Leslie, I want to ask you about Wilbur Ross. He was grilled on trade and taxes. He promised to tackle NAFTA and TPP, obviously, both of which the president-elect has promised on the campaign trail. Will this put him at odds with some Republicans?
Yes, definitely, because Republicans essentially, free trade is a big part of the platform. The issue is going to come down to fair trade. So you talk to many Republicans who've been free traders, really pushed either for NAFTA or TPP, and many of these types of agreements to give an advantage to the United States and certainly to American companies. But now it's not necessarily a fair playing field. So they're going to unpack and some of that. And I do believe you will see Republican support, but it is going to rest on the political prowess of the president. Can he go in there and give cover to these members who have essentially been free trade for their entire legislative career?
All right, Leslie Sanchez, always great to talk to you. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.